Hey, good morning, Michael. This is a quick demo video for you for your Corbanth / Elf Sabers Kestis Survivor. This is installed with a Proffie. It's got a one-button setup on this particular saber, which is right here, and we'll go over that here in a second. I also gave you a V2 Carl Chen PCB that you can see in there, and I'll light that up here in a second as well. You'd asked me to weather this, so I went with some light to medium weathering. I'm in a bit of a unique situation here because I have one that's brand new that's here also, so I can give you a comparison. When yours came in, it of course looked like this. All right, so very shiny. You've got that kind of a bluish hue on your handle. This is some kind of a coating on this aluminum. So what I do is I have to break this down first. On this particular one, I used some oven cleaner, broke it all down. I broke the handle down as well. So if I were to go like that, you can kind of see the difference, right? Broke all that down. I took all of this blue stuff off of your handle. I went back, I painted your handle black, but then I also wore it down where I thought it would get the most usage from being held. All right, so you can kind of see how it's faded away right there because this is kind of where it would be held. All right, so I hope you like the way that came out. We got those red and green wires inside on your greablies here on both sides, just like that. This does not open at the handle. Now, all other versions of the Fallen, like the Fallen Order V1 through 3 or whatever it is, they would always open from the handle. As a matter of fact, I've got one. This is my personal saber. This is a Fallen V3. So if we compare this side by side, the Survivor is just a little bit thicker, a little bit longer. Right, you can see it there in the shrouds, but they're very comparable. But this one opens from the handle, so I can have a static chassis. Yours does not; it only opens from the pommel. So what you want to do to come over here is just unscrew your pommel. You don't have any sound venting. We'll go over that here in a second as well. There's no sound venting in the pommel. There's sound venting on the saber. Take your pommel off just like that. Pretty solid piece. You'll see your chassis. You can pull it right out. Your sound venting comes from right here. All right, the bottom venting, or the bottom like milled out section on this saber. It may be a little bit hard to see or for me to zoom in on. I will try though. It wants to. So there's, if you can barely see that gap in there, that's the same on both sides. That's where your sound venting's at. So that's why I've got these little notches in my chassis up here, because they line up with that sound venting to give you the most that I could possibly give you there. All right. It is one of my pet peeves that I couldn't fit a 28mm speaker into the saber, but it's just the way it was designed. So what I did was I gave you a 22mm Smuggler's Outpost Nano Elite speaker here. There's a little cutout obviously on the chassis so that I could install the speaker. But once this is slid into the handle, that's all covered up like that, and it's solid, and that sound goes through and it vents out right here. All right. You've got a Smuggler's Outpost Switch Pixel PCB set, and it may be impossible to see. I can get my phone and shine a light in there though. Typically it's a 14-pin PCB in there. Let's see if we can get that to line up right. So you can almost see it in there, right? So typically that's a 14-pin PCB. This one is a 13-pin PCB. I left one of the pins out because we're not using an auxiliary switch. And each of these pins cost me about like just over $1 to buy. So if I don't use it, or if it's not going to be utilized, I don't put it in the PCB. There's no point. All right, so there's 13 pins in that. That does not come out. But coming over here, you have a removable battery setup. All right, so spring side, your negative side for your battery over here. Coming over this way, you've got a kill switch right here, your Proffie board. All right, easy access to your SD card and your micro USB. I got all of the fonts on here that you gave me, so you have like they're a mixture between Kestis and Kyberphonics. So you've got the new blue font from the Survivor package. You've also got the Dagon font, dark side, because you asked to use that. You've got so blue, Dagon, ninth, second, sister. I think those are the 4 that you sent me. All right. A copy of the config file is also on your SD card. You also sent me the Traveler. Sorry, that's on there as well. So a copy of the config file is on your SD card. And this board is just a press fit down into the shelf. So I know that kill switch is pretty close. I was able to program that without moving the board. My particular cable looks like this. It's pretty low profile, so it fits in. It just fits in there, and it's typically what I model my chassis over. If you ever need a link to that from Amazon, let me know. I'm happy to send that to you. But if you want to, you can pop the board up just like this and then snap it back down into place. If you do that over and over again over time and you find the board is not holding as tight as it is now, just put a little bit of E6000 on the sides of the board and put it down. It will hold the board down, but if you ever have to lift it up in the future, that's a pretty good material to where you can go ahead and pull it free and it's not going to break anything. All right, so after all that, we'll take our battery, throw it in here, snaps in there nice and tight. We'll come over here and flip our kill switch.
I'm Cal, and this is BD1.
Now you can take your pommel and slap it right into the chassis, or slap the chassis into the pommel rather, until it stops. All right, just make it one unit. Come over here, slide it all the way in, and then just start screwing in the pommel. You want to take this, screw it all the way down, lock it down tight. Now everything is locked into place, and we can come over here and hit power. So your LEDs are firing up like they should in there. On a 1-button setup, you know, blaster bolts is just tapping. Blade lockup would be a double tap on the button, but when you do that second tap, hold it down. It's good flash on flash. And then I also gave you twist off. All right, so let's throw a blade in this guy real quick. This is set up for a 1-inch diameter Neopixel blade. I had to go get an Allen key because I had forgot to get one before the video. But your blade retention screw is right there. Right at the tip right there. All right, so that's where you would lock it in. Don't pay any attention to the blue markings on my blade. This is my test blade. Oftentimes I will use this to try to find out how long my chassis need to be, especially on sabers like this where I can't fit my calipers all the way in. But this is set up for a full-length blade. And when you get that all locked in, each of your sound fonts has a sound track. So to play that when the saber is off, you have to do a quick double tap. Let that play for a second. And it's the same thing to turn it off, right? A quick double tap. Just like that. Now to trade sound fonts or to go to the next font, what you want to do is a long press on the button.
My name is Dagon Gera.
A little bit hard to tell on camera. You can kind of see it on my hand maybe. The reflection, but I gave you a red smoke blade here. I just thought it was pretty cool and I wanted you to have a little bit of an extra animation rather than just a straight red blade. Go to another one. And I did give you green here just to mix it up a hair, because you have a blue font, you have a few red fonts. I didn't want you leaving with just 2 colors, so you have a little bit of a mix, but you can change that if you like.
Ninth sister.
Play a soundtrack on this one. Turn it up. Go to another one.
Second sister. Blue.
Now we're back to the beginning, blue. Right. Just like that. We'll go ahead and we will break it down. So take the blade out first. Because you have a kill switch, obviously you don't have to take the battery out if you don't want to. We're going to go ahead and turn this on before we take it out so I can show you that the kill switch works. Come over here and loosen our pummel. Pull our chassis out. You can still hear it going. And then flip our switch and it kills everything like it should. All right. But when you do want to take your battery out, come over here from the positive side by the back of the chassis and pop it out with your finger just like that. But that is basically your Corbanth and Elf Saber Survivor. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will try my best to get this out in the mail to you today. Thanks. Okay.